All right, we are going to be doing some light reading. Light, and there's a lot of books, so enjoy this. A is for Azuth and Other Gods, Volume 6, a collection of children's rhymes about the gods Ilmater, Jurgil, and Kelemvor. Ilmater hears the martyr's cries, takes in the ill and the oppressed. When one to help the others dies, then by Ilmater they are blessed. Jurgil, or so it's often said, once gave away his bony throne. For Kelemvor he tracks the dead, makes sure that dead souls do not roam. Kelemvor, Lord of the Dead, will take your hand when death arrives, makes sure souls are correctly led to all their proper afterlives. I feel like we've read that book before, but it doesn't hurt to read them again every so often. Amap's Memoirs, The Reflections of Paul Amaps, a halfling humanist whose writings advised fair and peaceful ends to vicious conflicts. My life has been a long succession of pleasures, to see my town take to my ideas and cease legal discrimination of local orcs, to see my fights against horrid living conditions in city factories take off, to have the chance to see a new generation take to these ideas of a better, kinder, fairer, intelligent world, and run with it to new reaches of the continent. It was not a life without struggle, however, and I shall regret its failures. My old friend Suelto comes to mind, who adopted such cruel ideologies later in life. I will forever console myself in the idea that such a brilliant mind would only conceive such theories under the strain of exile, and the promise of reinstatement, as she ultimately was. Battered note. This crisp note is poked through in several places, apparently subject to the writer's ire. Hey! Prickheads! Slave grub in the right barrel, Rothe Chow in the left. Next of you shits I see flubbing it is getting a hot poker up the arse, sideways. Thrin. Thrin was the dickhead that was dealing with the Rothe. We just killed him, so that's good. Blood-smeared logbook, a bloody ledger filled with records of precious gems. A ledger detailing the appearance and quality of numerous gemstones that had been mined from rock. Weight, color, clarity, and more are noted next to a sketch of each stone. An underlined entry for a sizable ruby is written in shaky, excited quill strokes. Canticles of the Dark Mistress, a collection of hymns and chants sung in praise of the goddess Shar. Let shadow fall where the light doth creep, and silence cloak the din. Let blackness into lost hearts seep, and bid Our Lady in. Behold Shar, who shades our path. Behold Shar, from Eoborn. Behold Shar, the primal dark. Our goddess of night, behold. A creased page, a worn scrap of paper folded tightly. Dark Mother, Weaver of Destiny, offer us a blessing to slay your foes. May they be strangled by the threads of fate, and dyed red in your image. Lolth be praised. Curled paper, a note written in a childish hand. This is the one that we found, this is the note in a bottle that we found at the bottom of the Underdark on the shores of the Koatua sacrificial area. Dad. Sorry I stopped writing. We ran out of paper on the road. I got this from the druids. Maybe that's why they're so mad at us. I hope this can find you. Zevlar says you got lost and that our old house is gone, but I read a book that says all rivers find their way into the Styx. When you get it, you can write me back in Baldur's Gate. Or maybe come visit? I'll write again when I can get more paper. Donnie. Donnie is the little tiefling boy who cannot speak in the grove. So writing letters to his dead father, which is really sad. Dark Justicier's journal, we just found this on the body of a Dark Justicier not too long ago. A thin diary smelling faintly of prayer smoke. I know it is forbidden to enter the Inquisitor's chambers, but I could not help myself. Has Master Ketherick not commanded us to use every possible tool to best Shar's rivals? Besides, if Sybil meant to keep the amulet a secret, she would have hidden it better. Cycle 40 and 2, the amulet has gifted me a power, an energy heretofore unknown to me. I've never known such might, and such cheer. I could barely keep myself from smiling, much to the other's chagrin. It is done, thank the Dark Lady. Sybil ripped the amulet from my throat and cast it into the lava, having found me racked by laughter. The madness has lifted, but I do not yet know my penance. Sybil is not known to take pity on thieves. That is an insight into an item that we will find a little bit later, probably during the next session. This discarded journal is a diary detailing the daily life of a gnomish village in the Underdark. We threw a surprise party for Ironfit. We're going to try that again. We threw a surprise party for Ironfoot. How that idiot made it past 150 is a mystery, but it's cause for celebration either way. When he saw the fire whiskey we'd been brewing, I swear he teared up. I'd only a cup of the stuff, but I can't feel my tongue anymore. The lunatic finished the barrel that night. I have no idea how he made it to his next shift, but Myrna claimed she needed him inside the wagon to guard inventory, quote, end quote. The burrow warden didn't say a word when the snores started. Layabout is lucky she's got a soft touch. I'd best get some sleep. Orders just came in for practice shovels and pickaxes for the younglings, and I've yet to harvest the Zerkwood. Where does the time go? Dusty book, an ancient log written in the flowing lines and deep grooves of a fanatic. Praise be to the Lady of Loss. She has, through Sister Ansar, taught Brother Soothe the true nature of our lives, that they are loss and nothing but loss. Through that sorrowful lesson he has turned from his fame and following, and come to us into the lady's loving embrace. But he has not left everything behind. The man once known as Saluv Yali brings with him his miracles of metallurgy. This dark alloy, adamantine, will let us spread the Dark Lady's will with new fervor. A little bit of insight into who was once in control of the adamantine forge. This dusty book is an academic print of a literary play, complete with extensive notes and annotations. This is one of the many books that you find in the Arcane Tower that contains one of the secret lines to say to Bernard. The beginning of this book proudly declares it to be a play by Dame Inia, followed by an extensive introduction and 23 pages of notes on the text. Though the book itself seems barely touched, one stanza is encircled twice. There is a light in every living thing. It's crawling towards the surface to survive, and in its wake, it tramples everything. We'll kill the rest so that the one can thrive. I wish it told you what was going to happen when that was read. Excavation of the Enclave of Nalith, a carefully kept journal filled with concise prose and technical diagrams of a lost, once submerged city. Pretty cool to think that there was once underwater cities in the Baldur's Gate Forgotten Realms. Elminster said Nalith was a wonder to behold when it floated in Faerun's sky. He was surely right. This Netherese enclave was once a jewel in the Empire of Magic, with towers that pierced the heavens, and yet it fell just as all Netherese enclaves did, crashing down when Karsus's folly ripped magic from the world. But even after it collapsed into the sea, its ruins still held a strange, twisted beauty. I traveled here from Halrua when I heard the sea had retreated and the ruins of Naloth were visible once again. Alas, I was not the first. Looters have stripped the Enclave of its material wealth, destroying much of its esoteric riches in the process. I found arcane books used to make campfires, their magic lost now to the ages. I have met some Shadavar here, whose interests align with mine, and we have agreed to search the ruins together. I'm grateful for these allies. The ruins are mostly filled with thick-skulled adventurers, but I cannot shake the feeling that someone is watching us, waiting to see what we uncover. No idea what that one's about. Fables of Faerun 4, The Magnanimous Miner. One of a series of thin tomes illustrating simple lessons to readers of all ages. In the underground city of Mantle Darith lived a deep gnome called Sadie and her father Sam. Each morning, the hard-working Sadie traveled to the nearby grotto, pick in hand, to mine gems. Each night, the lazy Sam would count them and demand even more. You cannot rest until I am the richest man in all of Faerun. One day, Sadie encountered a stranger on her path home, a haggard creature, gray of skin and small of stature. "A Darrow," exclaimed Sadie. Please, said the Darrow. I have no money and no home. I beg of you a single ruby, so I might sell it for food. Sadie found pity in her heart and gave the beggar a ruby. She told her father about the Darrow upon returning home. Do not believe his lies, warned Sam. Darrow are selfish, demented creatures. Give him no more, lest I cast you away. The Darrow was waiting for Sadie the next day. Please give me 10 rubies so I might sell them for shelter. Sadie, moved by his plea, did as he asked and journeyed home, where Sam rebuked her. An inferior haul, he said. This will not stand. On the third day, the Darrow appeared in the grotto. 100 rubies, please, so I might feed my brothers and sisters. The kind-hearted Sadie handed the beggar her entire sack of gems. As he took it, there was a great flash of light. Where the beggar had stood was a massive gold dragon. You prove yourself generous of heart and spirit. Come to my lair, and I share in my golden hoard. Sadie eagerly accepted, joining the dragon in his opulent hideaway. 1 year later, Sadie passed a beggar near the grotto. Her own father, Sam. Sadie, I have no money and no home, he said. I beg of you a single ruby, so I might sell it for food. Sadie found no pity in her heart, and walked away. Faded logbook, a logbook detailing the various expeditions of Burrow Warden Myrna. The inside cover reads Burrow Warden Myrna. The pages are lined with neat calculations, equipment logs, and expedition notes. The final entry reads, Expedition number 42. Back after a 10-day in the northern quadrant, 2 potential mining sites scouted discovered a vein of Arinder. Welso did a bang-up job, organized shifts, and led the first dig. Brother or not, he'll be a great burrow warden one day. But he needs to keep his temper in check and practice reading the stone. He's as blind as a surfacer sometimes. Planning to take him out later along the Ebon Lake to practice. The Grove Annals, a slate filled with records in a tight scrawl. Recent entries record the arrival of refugees and the disappearance of the first druid. A daily record, the initial entries rendered in tight scribbles. The Fading, 14th day. The Alturians, for of Elturel they are, even if that city rejects them, have largely recovered from their ordeal. The physical aspects, at least. Zevlor is still set on Baldur's Gate, though I plead with him to wait. The grove remains undisturbed, but the forest around has grown dark. Leaffall, 2nd day. Our grove grows. Adventurers in search of an artifact in the nearby ruin. I should steer them away, but if it's what they suspect, perhaps there is a way to push the darkness back and make the road safe once more. They'll need a guide. Here, a neater hand takes over, the chalk still fresh. Uktar, year of 3 ships sailing, 1492, Dale Reckoning. I love that little reference to the Mayflower. Year of 3 ships sailing, 1492. Master Halsin, first of this circle, has not returned with the mercenaries. They report a significant goblin presence in the area. Mistress Kaga, second of the circle, has turned the Grove archives over to me. The first event to be noted, her ascension to the position of first druid. Sylvanas send that we are both but stewards, awaiting Master Halsin's rightful return. Servant Orin. Grove Artifacts, a register of druidic relics and their uses. The tablet catalogs various magical artifacts of druidic nature. One particular entry has been outlined. Idol of Sylvanas. A ritual relic formed from the wood and resin of an oak, touched by the forest father himself. Pray to it quietly to reap Sylvanas' blessing and commune with nature. Below the entry, a chalked note snakes across the stone. So much more. More prayer, more power. Rite of Thorns. This is Kaga's Descent into Madness, I think. Grubby Map. A crudely drawn map, marred by annotations and personal notes. On one side of this page, a hand-drawn map depicts a northern grotto bordering the Ebon Lake. An attacker's account marks the other. One of the drugning shrooms sensed us and split. Chunky one, too. Months' worth of soup, at least. The rest were too busy droning to put up a fuss. Near pays us, and I'm bolting for Mantal Dareth. Thrin's orders be damned. They got eel steak, mineral mead, and topland food of all sort. Clan can't live on fungus alone. Handwritten letter, a letter from Amarith to Lenore, expressing the former's concern about the latter's pet Bulette. Dearest Lenore, I'm not sure I should say this, but your last letter really worried me. Why in all hells would you tame a Bulette? Just because you found it near Myrna's grave doesn't mean that that's a sign. I'm really worried about you, Lenore. A Bulette is not a pet. Using it as a guardian is one thing, but you sound quite taken by it. I know you don't want to come back before you finish your research, but if you are feeling lonely, you know my door is always open. Lots of love and hugs, Amarith. P.S. It really warms my heart to hear that you put the autumn crocus flowers on Myrna's grave. I remember she liked to roll around in them, even though she'd always sneeze after. She was such a soft, loyal dog. I wish there was more I could do. Poor Lenore, and poor Myrna, and fuck the Bulette. And yes, it's the Bulette that we killed. Hidebound Journal. The memories and plans of a displaced drow. One favor, one faithful servant, that is all I summoned, no more and no less than Malice Duerden ever had, or indeed the mother of lusts herself. The Yokelaw was quite a sight in all its forms. I'd read of its foul odor. But I found it intoxicating, like rosewater. So it smashed a few artifacts, hissed at a master. The Archmage should have revered me for such a conjuring. Instead, he threatened to curse me, to make me a Drider. Yet my time will come. Soon, I will return to Menzoberranzan and Sorcera. Then, the Archmage will worship me. I will be served. Twisted people in this game. Letter to Ear. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name correctly, so I apologize in advance, but Era. A faded letter addressed to a certain Era the Sparkstruck. It is dated 2 Alturiac, 1481 DR. Bjorn. Oh my god, you made that a command? That's so funny. I love that. That's awesome. Still one of my favorite moments. Dearest Era, I don't know if you're coming back, if you'll even read this message, but if you do not come back, could you wait for me? I'll only be gone a few 10 days, but the thought of coming back to this empty tower, with nothing but Bernard to fill these halls, I don't know how much longer I can take this. I miss you. I miss you so much. I can't shake the thought of how different things might have been if only I'd been less stubborn. Working on your lightning inventions, my magic, eating together, laughing at your stupid puns, waking up next to you. Despite everything, I still love you. So please, if you read this, can you wait? I'll be back. I won't be long. Forever yours, Lenore. A few sentences are penned below in a different hand. I waited. I waited until Tarsak. I'll always wait for you, but you didn't come. I'm so curious what happened to Lenore. I haven't figured that one out yet. A map of Moonhaven. This ancient map is faded, but the detailed outline of Moonhaven is still clearly visible. This war map offers a detailed plan to attack the village of Moonhaven, encouraging soldiers to kill in merciless silence. This dusty yellowed letter is written in a confident hand. Sybil, my scouts bring me troubling word that Moonhaven yet stands. Have you forgotten the 3 laws? Would you turn your back on Mistress Shar? Tonight, you will beg Shar's forgiveness. Tomorrow, I depart Moonrise Towers for Grimforge. A 10-day hence, I shall march the Dark Justiciars to Moonhaven myself. By the time the first star trembles that night, the Selûnites shall be slain and their allies routed. Speak your prayer thrice nightly, Sybil. Once at nightfall, once at moon's zenith, and once before sunrise. I shall remind you the words, lest you've forgotten. Mistress Shar, I have glorified your name. Master Thorm, I have cried out your word. I am your servant forevermore. Demonstrate your devotion, and Shar may still know you. Fail, you are naught but dust, unknown and unremembered. your master, Ketheric Thorm, on educating the faithful. This slender, tightly bound manuscript has had the spider engraved on the front of it scratched into oblivion. An excerpt from a lengthy speech by Grand Matron Tare, first delivered in Menzoberranzan and recorded by a Seldarine spy. Praise be to Lulth, mother of all drow. Her web binds us, body and soul, and strangles the unworthy before they can draw breath. Those who stand before me have proven their worth. You shall educate all new converts to Lulth's laws using any means necessary. Many of them fear the goddess, as they should, but their faith is not yet true. Their minds are simple, and should be treated accordingly. They must follow the order of every priestess like a sacred decree. They must never cover their eyes and insult Lulth's gift. They must honor the house that raised them from their pathetic, treasonous origins. They must keep our secrets upon pain of death. Ensure that death is public, should the time ever come. Lulth smiles on those who are creative in matters of torture, on sloth, gluttony, and vice. This protracted screed by author Fenris Flatrock preaches abstinence and industry, and warns against fleshly desires. Fleshly desires. Endure, endure, endure! So commands Lodegour the taskmaster. Endure! Cry it out as your hammer strikes rock. Endure! Shout it as your axe splits your enemies' skulls. Endure! Holler as your cane strikes your slaves' backs. Toil is our duty and our blessing. Toil is the reward we grant our sons and servants. Yet beware the great enemy of toil, the scourge that wounds us and ours, the tankard. It is not only ale that pours forth from it, but indolence, gluttony, and a wandering mind. The drunkard is a clan's millstone, too heavy to carry, too idle to contribute. Cast him into the dark lake, let him sink to the bottom, and once more call out, Endure! 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 Oral histories of Faerun, Gith, and Mind Flayers. This thin tome is bookmarked with scraps of illegibly annotated scraps of paper. This book comprises several chapters, one for each cited source. It claims to contain the first-hand transcriptions of the oral histories of several storytellers throughout the realm. Chapter 4, Baldur the Swift, 700 years of age, wood elf storyteller hailing from the Wood of Sharp Teeth. It took me several 10 days of quiet habitation in the wood before the venerable Baldur felt comfortable revealing his presence to me. The longer I stayed, demonstrating I was no threat to his health and peace, the more open he was to gentle inquiry. This tale, relayed to me on a chilly morning as we stoked a small fire between us, was like none I had heard before or since. I asked if it were fiction, and he insisted emphatically it was as true as his own right eye. Long ago, before my eyes and ears, before your lonesome quill, dear scribe, there was an empire of people, or perhaps only belief. An empire of brain-eaters, soul-wasters. They called themselves Illithids, the flayers of minds. The children of Gith were bowed, bent in service to the flayers, a passionate people made to serve a cold belief. The flayers were untouchable, their minds a great oppressor. No proud will or passion could break Gith's children free. Until at last, a reckoning. Its source unknown, its power unproven, but its events history-making. The cowed would not be cracked. Gith's children fought back, valiantly, their freedom theirs, their flayers bent and broken, till today. And then, of course, this is the Prince of the Comet. I'm going to hold on to that for now, send it to camp. Scroll of evidence. This was found in the Harper's chest that we needed to use light on. The first few inches of this scroll are written in formal, elaborate script. To the Emerald Enclave, and those deemed worthy to see this record, greetings from those who harp. Know ye that one known as Ketheric Thorm, Paladin of Shar, is guilty of crimes against body and spirit. They include, but are not limited to, murder, slavery, and desecration of temples most holy. Let our intent be known. An alliance between the Harpers and the Emerald Enclave. United, we may end Thorm's reign of terror. The High Harpers eagerly await your good word. Spattered Diary, a sturdy book lined with lists, ponderings, and enumerations. A badly charred diary with property of Wulbrin written on the inside cover. In one of the few legible entries, the author wonders if he'll ever see his friend Barkus again, now that he's departed for the surface world. Study of the Sword Coast. More a scrapbook than a study, this records maps and snippets of knowledge. A scrap of a larger map fastened to the page with fragrant sap. Someone has written, tainted by curse above the lands to the east, beyond the mountains, on the road to Baldur's Gate. Let it be known that Sembia... Are you happy with yourself? Do you feel good about that? Did you see me jump? Let it be known that Sembia should be avoided at all costs. It is clearly home to an industrious sort of fellow, the sort who is quick to dismiss the country's history as a Netherese vassal state, but will steal your notes from the Dalelands and sell you to pirates all the same. Thankfully, these pirates were set upon by another group of buccaneers, who were more than happy to take a scribe on board. I was excited to document the voyage as we are headed to Thesk, the gateway to the east, where the road leads straight to Rashaman. Alas, I have spent almost all my time forging ship manifests. The careful art of Tirsu ciphers. An engraved disc of Githyanki origin containing a complex cipher that can decrypt ancient Gith dialects, a useful discovery if one should encounter such archaic writings. Obviously, that helps us decrypt the Gith writings, like it just said, but the Prince of the Comet stories as well, more specifically. Oh, the ecstasy of murder. This one, honestly, I like this one too much. This book is redolent with the enticing smell of paper and ink. Once Baal's favor has quickened within one of his beloved murderers, the bliss of his love is nigh indescribable, for he blesses his loyal with a new sensation, a mindless, instinctual, primal sensation that comes from within the bowels, an erotic spasm that washes over the killer in the moment of murder. It is said that in that instant, his divine essence can almost be tasted. Forsake all other hedonisms, acolytes, for nothing can compare. Until the true ecstasies of murder wash over you, initiates, this scroll contains a prayer, you may say after a kill, calling for the Lord's disgrace to find its course in your body. Ugh. Gives me the shivers every fucking time. The Emerald Enclave Tenets, an ancient stone tablet immaculately preserved. The Elder Circle doth decree the greatest tenets, number 3. The natural order must be preserved no matter its form. Number 2. Forces that would disrupt the natural order must be destroyed. Number 3. The Emerald Enclave must offer aid to the weary and injured. The Great Furnace of Grim Forge. Information on the use of an adamantine forge is transcribed on this book's pages. The pages, apparently copied from a master tomb, describe the construction and use of a grand forge in the Underdark. Among the Sharans dwelled the gnome Saluvyali, whose talents for wizardry were known from Candlekeep to Sorcerer. Under his tutelage, the Sharans built the Great Forge, which could heat mithril with such vigor as to turn it to adamantine. With this astonishing metal, they could mold the finest blades and armor. Yet the jewel of Yali's eye was not the forge itself, but the protector he conjured from the magma to guard it, a construct said to be so mighty that no blade could fell it, and no spell could pierce it. Instructions for operating the Great Forge are listed underneath. Ingredients: raw mithril ore and a proper mold. Place the ore and mold into their respective chambers, pull the lever to lower the hammer, and prepare the ore for smelting. Open the valve to allow lava into the crucible, and drop the hammer again to forge the product. This sounds dry and silly, but it is how you craft some of the finest Act 1 items in the game that will last you potentially all the way until Act 3. The Rite of Thorns, a scroll covered in intricate drawings detailing an arcane protection ritual. I think we read this already. Interwoven prayers and incantations snake across one side of the page. Written on the other are instructions for performing the Rite of Thorns. When the prayer is complete, thorns and bramble rise from the earth, protecting from harm all who chanted it. The Roads to Darkness. This play tells the epic tragedy of three friends who kill each other in their quest for power. The Roads to Darkness, an epic tragedy about power, corruption, and loneliness. Prologue. A lonely road. Thunder and lightning. Enter Soreth. New sounds through damp and dark oppression break. Is it the foe, that foul contemptuous heel? Or art thou friend, a rescue from my lonely wake? Come out of love for me, not for love of blood and steel. Enter Risia. How would I know, Soreth? It's been so long. What do I know of you, and you of me? Wait, do you hear that sound? Enter Amphius. What's this? Those figures so familiar both, but still you seem so strange. It's Amphius. Dear Amphius, what happened to your face? It's pale as death. Your eyes are black as char. And you? I saw your teeth, they're sharp as blades. And what is with this road so slick with blood? What happened here? What happened to us all? End prologue. Act 1, 10 years prior. The rest of the play tells the tale of three elven friends, their paths to power, and how, corrupted, mad, and lonely, they killed each other. The True and Impossible Tales of Tenebrux Morrow Volume 3, a thin volume creased from use. The cover features a crude drawing of a flying ship. An excerpt from the True and Impossible Adventures of Tenebrux Morrow, a pulp serial following the real-life exploits of an interplanar ship's captain. The real Captain Morrow is known never to have left her native Waterdeep, and emerges from her rooms at the yawning portal only to exchange scrawled manuscripts for fresh meals and ink. Much is made of Barovia's gloomy climate. It is said the mists there confuse the mind and torment the soul, binding travelers in a grip of such despair that escape is impossible to contemplate. As the new bride parted that heavy fog, I confess that I felt no such malaise beyond the onset of a rather stuffy nose. The same, I fear, could not be said of my crew. Among those who had not already cast themselves overboard, the gibbering and weeping became such that I was forced to bind them to the mast entire, and navigate my fair bride alone. I went in search of that plane's dark master, having been informed that even my ship could not hope to breach the planar boundaries without permission. And so I probed the mists, defiant at the helm, and belting out a lively shanty of my own composition. The invitation did not long go unanswered. He appeared like the passing of a shadow overhead, sudden and terrifying. Or certainly that was his intention. But once the mutual assurances of destruction were dispensed with, we found in one another kindred spirits, and fell to conversing in earnest. At length, a price for my passage was agreed. Of that price, and that man, I will say only this. He is surprisingly excellent company given the stories, and the teeth do not get in the way nearly so much as one would think. This whole fucking game is so goddamn thirsty. Threadbare book. Stained and torn, most of this book has been lost to time. This threadbare book looks like it once contained a play, but most of it has been lost to time, vermin, and an unfortunate ink spill. Only 2 full sentences are distinguishable. How can I trust? How will I ever know? How can I show myself? My darkest me. To the Grey. A Dwergar mining chant is inscribed here on plain paper with thick, blocky script. From Barakwir we made our stand, meant to rule, but led astray by wicked tentacle and wicked hand. This world belongs to the Grey. Orendal stole all we had, yet taught the weapons by which to slay. Forge your minds to ironclad. This world belongs to the Grey. The exile freed us with his command to conquer what was taken away, crush every monument into finest sand. This world belongs to the Grey. Trade your heart for steel intent, for with whip and mind we flay. Let them all hear of our descent. The world is nothing but grey. It's like that Dave Matthews song, Torn Out Paper. A torn strip of paper with 2 lines of barely legible script. The writing on this torn out strip of paper is shaky and blotted with tears, making it barely legible. The silence stretches on. I'm all alone. Please, can I hold your hands for just a while? Obviously, the 2 short play notes were from the tower. Also from the tower, a treatise on the anti-magic properties of susser tree flowers. A research paper on susser tree flowers, only the first paragraph is finished. The Anti-Magic Properties of Susser Tree Flowers by L. D. Hurst. For those knowing about susser trees, their magical properties have always been a topic of debate. Not only their ability to create an anti-magic aura, which is complete enough that even those unattuned to the weave can feel its effect, but also, and most interestingly to those living in the world above, the ways its roots, bark, and flowers can be harnessed to make magic items. Rumors of such items are rare, but spread in settlements bordering the Underdark. Their existence, however, has never been confirmed by any of our clerics, nor by any other reputable scholars. I hypothesized that these items are no mere legends, and indeed, in this treatise I will endeavor to explain how I myself created items that have anti-magic properties and that use the magical absorption of susser tree flowers as a power source. Lines have been drawn on the following pages as if the author intended to fill them with writing, but the remainder of the thin book is blank. Undelivered letter, a missive stained with dirt and boot prints. Master Ketherick, my whip has finally coaxed some particulars from the captive Harper. To wit, she revealed the location of her stockpile on a rocky overlook. I investigated, but found the chest in question is trapped. Any attempt to open it might break its contents completely. The spy refuses to reveal how to open the chest, even under threat of death, only crying Lux Splenda with every lash. Some type of watchword, no doubt. The interrogation continues, and again, please accept my most humble apologies for my earlier oversights. Rest assured I will not misidentify any more of my fellow Sharans as spies. May they walk forever in shadow. Justiciar Sybil. Lux Splenda is your hint to use the light spell on the chest that we opened earlier. A water-damaged letter imploring the recipient to be cautious around the far shore of the Ebon Lake, as Dwergar are rumored to be prowling in the area.
This is the rest of everything from Act 1 that we haven't read yet, so we're going to read those, and that'll probably be the stream for the night. How to Track an Illithid. This book is redolent with the enticing smell of paper and ink. That's a generic description. This was found in the Kresh, a handwritten tome documenting various tried and tested ways to track mind flayers, and the results of each endeavor. Hisharlak Voss, a plain, unadorned note. The slate is densely packed with carvings. A few words recur throughout. Voss, Hisharlak, Vlakith, loyalty. A note has been written over the text in common. Voss, traitor. Maybe there's some truth to what he was saying earlier. On psionic manipulations and countermeasures. A thorough account of how best to protect your mind from illithid manipulation and subsequent domination. When dealing with mind flayers, remember that it is in their nature to assess the utility, strengths, and weaknesses of those around them, and to manipulate in order to get what they want. The best countermeasure you can take against a mind flayer is simply to avoid it. Any attempts to outsmart it will fail. If that is not an option, then there are 3 things to remember that may just save your mind. 1. Pay attention to its actions, not its words. Where mind flayers are concerned, it is true that actions speak louder than words, especially words that are tailor-spoken to fit a mind flayer's manipulative agenda.
2. Strengthen your relationship with others. The greatest thing you can do to offset a Mind Flayer's designs upon you is to have allies. Strong allies. Trust in those you know you can trust, and build your relationships with them. They are the ones who will have your back when you most need it. 3. Even Mind Flayers have wants and desires. The only circumstances in which a relationship with a Mind Flayer may be beneficial to you is if you both want exactly the same thing. In the unlikely case that this is true, bear in mind that once you have outlived your purpose to a Mind Flayer, it will have no use for you. This book is alluding to a certain someone. I love that book. For those of you that have played further than this point in the game, this is a very telling book. Account of the establishment of Kresh Yelik. The stone disc is carved with circular runes and pictographs, generic description for Githyanki slates. This is an account of the takeover of Rosymorn Monastery by the Githyanki contingent. Many supplies found, local area good for hunting more. Grimishka infestation, but that will be no trouble, and indeed will be useful in deterring unwanted visitors. Rosymorn Monastery, it's called, but it seems these monks had plenty hidden away beneath the surface. Lots of valuable goods to be found underground, hint hint, can be traded off after their best bits are shipped back. The treasure room will prove a fitting location for the establishment of a military intelligence office. Seems to already have good defenses. Should station Inquisitor Wawargaz, he'll be able to keep Therazin under his thumb. Malar Rahal. Oh, this is the letter that was on the lady that wanted us to steal the egg. An opportunity from the Society of Brilliance. Our storied sect requires an object most rare upon our plane. The egg of a Githyanki. The good Sayer that retrieves this item, which must be in excellent condition, will be rewarded most handsomely. Timeliness is key. Find us in the lodge in Baldur's Gate upon the completion of this task. Signed by the collective, Society of Brilliance of Baldur's Gate. Broom and Bucket. This was found also in the Kresh, although I don't think it actually has anything to do with the Kresh. A collection of anecdotes about kobolds in Baldur's Gate. It seems a tribe of the industrious little scaly creatures were employed by the city to take care of sanitation. In essence, they were sewer workers, drain wardens, and waste disposers. However, in recent times, the city has been perplexed and thoroughly nose-wrinkled by the seeming departure of the kobolds. When asked about their disappearance, one citizen said, "Yeah, right, hope they turn up. Meantime, who's gonna broom up my piss and bucket my shit?" I have not. There are a few things that I don't do in games, even if I am, like, as evil as they come. And that is one thing I've never done. Now, that being said, when my next dirge run, I fully intend to be as evil as possible, even things like by my standards that I wouldn't normally do, and I would do a lot. So I can't say I'm not curious. You know what? Odds you tell me, evens you don't. Tell me. God, I love Dark for that. That's the best frickin' command. Leave everything to a die roll. Confiscated book. The pages of this book have been entirely ripped out and replaced with one crudely pasted message in the common tongue. Please note that any literature concerning the below topics is strictly prohibited. If it is found in your possession, it will be confiscated. If you are found to be reading it, you will answer to Kithrak Therazin herself. Orpheus. Infernal Metals. Magic of the Undead. Talking about prohibited items in the Kresh, if that wasn't obvious. A creased letter. Scouting orders found in a drow's caged corpse. I believe this was found in Grimforge. Jam. Like a phoenix from the ashes, Grimforge has risen from the dead. I've word of a drow cultist gathering Duergar in the old city's halls. That the absolute means to recruit them, I've no doubt. Yet it's what they might seek amidst the ruins that most troubles me. You've not failed me yet. Go to Grimforge, cling to Shadow, and bring word of the cult's intentions to Last Light. I will be waiting. Jay. Jay is an intriguing character who we will probably meet the next session. If we don't meet during the next session, that's a problem. It means I'm doing something very, very wrong. Dawnmaster Stockhold, master of his craft. I mentioned this when we found it. It's a clue to that puzzle about how to get the key to get the Blood of Lathander. Beloved Dawnmaster Stockhold, buried with the ceremonial mace, in honor of the many humble maces he wielded in his lifetime, as he purged the evil from this land. Deed of Ownership, a formal declaration of territory ownership by the Iron Hand gnomes. Let it be known from the Fardrim to the Firelands, from Morndiver to the Spawning Deep, the Iron Hand gnomes, with the blessings of the Shield of the Golden Hills, declare possession of the tunnels, open spaces, peoples, and contents of Underdark territory beneath the Western Heartlands. Ignore this deed under penalty of imprisonment or death. Approved and signed, Wolbrin Bungle. This is the roster that was found in the creche. A roster of duties written in the common tongue, including cleaning, hunting, pest control, surveillance, patrol, combat practice, weapons maintenance, and armor polishing. It bears a reminder to all residents of Creche Yillik that communications must be written in or translated into Common, as required by the study curriculum. Elder's Journal. This thick journal details the life and times of a Duergar elder. The clan's gone soft, maybe even me. No way around it. I spent 10 tides of the Dark Lake with my head bowed to the exile. I spent 20 tides with pick and shovel in hand mining for steel in Dunsparren. And for 7 tides I stood motionless between the blockstones till the Thaldors released me. I was forged in Ludiguer's fires. I learned to toil without complaint, to expect no reward without effort. Ludiguer is the taskmaster. We are his workers. This is our way. 50 wet seasons have passed since the Thaldors refused to admit me. For 40 of them, Thrin would have lifted mountains herself if Ludiguer willed it. Now she canes slaves at the behest of this drow and his so-called absolute. Magmar will drown in that ale of his, if the night terrors don't claim him first. And me, I'll toil for the exile, but till I see a mountain of coin, I won't lift a damn finger for Thrin, or that shit-grinned Near she's been fawning over. Fables of Faerun 6, the cheerful deep gnome. One of a series of thin tomes illustrating simple lessons to readers of all ages. A new fable. Deep in the Underdark lived Doyle, a plucky deep gnome slave. Day and night, he and his brother toiled for 5 Duergar smiths, mining iron and mithril until their arms ached and their eyes burned. Faster, cried the Duergar. And faster Doyle would dig, even into the night while his masters slept, smiling all the while. How can you smile while we slave? Asked the brother. Because I wish our masters much success, was Doyle's reply. Words of the Duergar's quality weapons and armor quickly spread. To meet demand, the Duergar brought in more slaves and began to forge and stockpile their wares at the dig site. Yet Doyle dug harder than ever, his wide grin never faltering. Soon the Duergar's operation grew so great that they commanded 20 deep gnome slaves. The day the 21st came, Doyle laughed and whooped so loud his Duergar captors sought silence in a nearby grotto. The slavers returned to find Doyle and his fellow deep gnomes clad in robust mithril armor and carrying mighty iron weapons, all taken from the slavers' stockpile. The 5 Duergar fell quickly, for they were no match for 21 armed deep gnomes, and Doyle, he never stopped smiling. Beneath the fable, an incensed reader has written a brief review. Garbage. This where the gnomes are getting bright ideas? Anyhow, I don't get it. This lesson makes no damn sense. Forge construction log. This decaying tomb details the scientific and arcane principles behind the Great Forge's construction. The results of multiple experiments are explained in exhausting detail. Hammer test 2.566.8. The forge is functional but operating at a scant 1/3 of its full potential. Our current fractalization values. The hammer can force various iron alloys into molds, but adamantine remains unmoved and unmarked. Increasing levels of hypotorque to 6.94, doubling magma heat values. Hammer test 2.670.0. Test unsuccessful. So hot was the magma that the adamantine shattered entirely under the force of the hammer. The properties of superheated adamantine are intriguing, but I seek to mold it, not to crush it. Maintaining hypotorque levels, reducing magma heat values by 1/5. Gustil Stornagos's research notes. This was the doctor in the creche. A massive compendium of notes documenting with clinical precision the dissection of over 200 illithid parasites, recorded in the common tongue. Sample 231. Observations. External presentation consistent with previous samples, but intestinal coloration is not. Internal fluids also appear discolored and infused with some sort of powerful magic. Magic type and purpose currently unknown. Notes. I need to spend some time reading about the magic in this land. My studies in Tunaroth, extensive as they are, do not cover what this magic is. These parasites are unusual. I will need to retrieve similarly unusual samples in order to deduce a pattern. Be aware, cultists must be captured on site. Interrogations swift but effective. Search for the artifacts thorough. Priority 1. Githyanki orders. Githyanki report. Kobolds entering the area. Pursuing dragon. Threat posed minimal. Suggested course of action, ignore. Githyanki slate. Location good, close to road but secluded. Building looks well fortified. Defense minimal. Seems to be a religious building. Space ample, underground, hidden. Was easy enough to sneak in without being observed. Prime spot for a creche. Suggests immediate occupation. Malar Rahal. A layer of soot coats this tome's thick hide binding. Grimforge. A history. The binding of this book is thicker than its combined pages, which are surprisingly devoid of detail. We know little of the ones that came before, but we know they worshipped the Lady of Loss. We know they constructed the great fortress and named... The next few words are smeared and illegible. But from whence they came and why they departed, this is a mystery even to Ketheric Thorm himself. What we do know is that Shar's Chosen has heard her call. Just as Grimforge served our mistress 800 years nigh, so it would again. Here Thorm's dark justiciars shall rise. Here we will fulfill our goddess's pact. Here we will rebuild the lost city of Grimforge. So far will our shadows spread, and so dark will they be, that Seluna's light may forever be extinguished. Guestbook of Rosymorn Abbey, a public guestbook in which there are multiple handwritten entries from pilgrims who visited over the years. My home is as dark as my spirit. I pray that you will bring me light. Annual Kithorn pilgrimage. Good to see your statue again, my lord. Never been here before in person. The stained glass windows are astonishing. Will definitely recommend to others. Monks are friendly. We'll visit again soon. As a blacksmith, what an honor to see the 4 ceremonial weapons of the Dawn Masters themselves. I'm not a Lathanderan myself, but I'd highly recommend it to anyone in the trade. The intricacy of the metalwork is astounding. Hand-drawn map. A map of Grimforge, drafted with a careful hand. A map of Grimforge drawn by hand, yet highly detailed. Points of interest are marked with black X's aside from 2, which are identified by bold red circles, 1 on each level of the fortress. The words hiding spot are written within the upper level circle. The lower level circle is identified as Smoke Powder Reserve. His Holy Blood, Volume 1, Dawn Master Dovair. This missal, describing a holy artifact of Lathander's, is penned in a particularly fevered hand. His radiance has faded from our unworthy gazes, O ye lightless wretches. We have failed the Morning Lord, and I record that failing in the pages of this tomb. To think he once stood in our imperfect world, among us imperfect mortals, and felled the villain Samaster with his holy brilliance. He bled for us, brethren, and we were tasked with locking our gazes eternally upon his blood. We let those gazes falter, and the blood was taken, wrenched from our sight. It is a test, one that this chapel is duty-bound to undertake. I pass the keeping of this record along to Paladin Vasaid, chosen in light to find the relic. Paladin, when you look upon the blood, I pray Lathander honors your deeds by burning out your eyes. Goodness. Talking about the blood of Lathander, the weapon that we just found, it is literally supposedly, according to legend, a chunk of the gods, like a drop of the gods' blood that has been frozen over time, congealed, hardened, and has now been turned into a weapon. And this is Volume 2. This missile charts an expedition to find a lost relic called the Blood of Lathander. While mine eyes remain unscorched, we have made great progress in finding his lost blood. After many suns of searching, I pen this entry as our gaze lies upon a Sharon outpost, nestled among the valleys of the Chianthar. We know the Sharans hold the blood. They dropped a cargo trunk during transport one eve and its lid slid open. 'Twas only a moment, but my shining adherence, what a moment it was. The entire riverbank aflame with a soothing radiance, the same rosy light of a summer dawn. I could practically hear his morning song bouncing between the valley walls. We advance upon those heretic nightbringers at the first light of dawn tomorrow, and shall leave naught but ashes in our wake. They have now found the blood, and they're moving to recover it, and this is Volume 3. This missal commemorates the founding of Rosymorn Monastery.
For my sins, it only just occurred to me that I had lacked in my record keeping of late. But then again, we have been busy. In our fray with the Sharan thieves, we retrieved the blood, but one of the heretics sinned most heinously. They struck the amber encasing his blood with a maul of pure void, damaging the most holy relic. As if knowing of this blasphemy, the exposed blood shone with an unbreakable radiance, reducing the Sharan horde to dust, for us to sift from this now holy ground. The relic became far too unstable to carry back to Hap. Thus, we fashioned a simple chapel around ourselves here, and have encased the blood within steel, to be wielded as a most righteous cudgel against those who sit in shadow. To keep it from the lustful sacrilege of thievery, our simple chapel will become a great monastery, and the blood shall be secreted away with a great many more wiles than it was before. I find it hard to fathom that we left such an artifact in such an obvious, open space to begin with. Alas, his light singes away the mistakes of the past, leading to a more fortuitous dawn indeed. Explaining why they built the chapel, infirmary records. A list of Githyanki names and the treatment they received in the infirmary. It is written in the common tongue. The name Varl comes up 47 times. Savarsh Kethk, far be it from me to tell you how to do your job, but may I suggest doing something about Varl? He's a drain on resources, not to mention interrupting my research, and I'd like to go through at least 2 days without seeing him again. Gustil Stornagas. Inquisitor's Prerogative, a reminder. Therazin, it would behoove you to remember that should you or any other member of Kresh Yilik flout the new rules, this will be considered an act of treason. Do not think that I am blind to your disdain. I am our Queen's eyes, and I see all. The Inquisition will proceed as planned until it is complete, and the weapon is found, as decreed by the Queen to me, Inquisitor Wawargaz. How's my volume? Is that still holding up? Another slate? The slate's faded symbols are hard to distinguish, let alone decipher. The drawings etched underneath them, however, are plain to see. They depict a dragon soaring above 2 individuals, one standing tall, the other kneeling. A circle is drawn around them, a fuzzy tail trailing behind. They are riding a comet, intelligence concerning the weapon. In the midst of the intricate carvings on this slate, one word in the common tongue leaps out repeatedly. Your own name. Thereon to you. Had been for some time. Inventory of offerings. An inventory of the food and offerings brought to the monastery, and their redistribution to alms seekers. Inventory of takings. This stone disc has Githyanki runes carved into it. Below them is drawn a translation in the common tongue. It is an inventory of items taken by the Githyanki from the Lathandirian monks upon their initial takeover of the monastery, and the subsequent shipment of major valuables back to Tunaroth. Journal of a Novice Monk. There's rumors of a Githyanki sighting in the region. The Dawnmaster's inner circle think we don't know, but it's all anyone can talk about. What do they want? Can they be after the blood itself? How would they even have found out about it? Personally, I'm excited. If there really is a Githyanki attack, there's a chance they'll fire the lance. To see the light of Lathander himself launched forth from Rosymorn's roof, that would be something to write home about. Brother Wellen claims he saw it once, and it was so bright it nearly made him blind. Luckily, he says it's quite hard to fire, but once we do, those Githyanki won't know what hit them. Known locations of the weapon? An unfamiliar style of map marked with the following locations. Nautiloid Crash, Goblin Camp, Moonrise Towers, Kobold Journal, a tattered book of drawings stained with wine and reeking of bodily fluids of all sorts. A collection of drawings, some cruder than others. Most of them feature kobolds in varying degrees of nakedness. This journal was found on on one of the skeletons in the room with the Guardian of Faith that we found in the monastery. To whom it may concern, if this is found, this is the journal of Brother Wellen, novice of Lathander, documenting the Githyanki attack on Rosymorn Monastery for posterity. The Githyanki launched their attack at dawn. A few of us managed to barricade ourselves in a room and summoned a Guardian of Faith to protect us, or at least buy us time to figure out what to do to get out of here. No ideas yet, but we have faith. Lathander will preserve us in our time of need. The Githyanki seem to have backed off. Morning Lord be blessed. They haven't hammered on the door for a while now, but it's hard to say if they've given up their attack altogether.
Need to wait it out to see. I knew it was too good to be true. A Githyanki managed to make its way through the window. Fortunately, the Guardian of Faith took care of it, but I'm sure that others will come. Still, that smashed window is giving me an idea of an escape plan. Still trapped. Just heard a roar. I think it might be a dragon. If it is, the rest of the journal has been burned away. Log of visitors to Rosymorn Monastery. A list of names documenting all visitors who came to Rosymorn Monastery on a pilgrimage year by year, ending on the year the monastery fell. Map of the Shadow-Cursed lands. This map is an act of improvised cartography. It highlights the areas of these Shadow-Cursed lands explored by Githyanki scouts. Evidently, their forces are getting closer and closer to Moonrise Towers.
Map of the Sword Coast. Whatever these Githyanki are planning, Baldur's Gate lies at the heart.
Thank you, Gale. Missive from Moonrise. Duke Ravengard is to be delivered unharmed, or mostly so, immediately. Moonrise Towers cannot fulfill its destiny until the Duke has been delivered. Those who succeed will be rewarded. Those who fail will face first my wrath, then Gortash's, then mine again. General Ketheric Thorm. Note to the next Dawnmaster. This was found with the key to the blood of Lathander. To the next Dawnmaster, I don't think we're going to make it, but the blood is secure. We closed it off with magic. Only one of our own can take it. If anyone else tries, the walls will fall, and they won't get out of here alive. Should that happen, pray for Rosymorn Monastery, but do not mourn. It's for the best. In death, new life, always. Insights gleaned from research, mind flayers must consume the brains of humanoids in order to stay alive. It is said that the act of devouring a humanoid brain results in a state of euphoria and contributes to the thin glaze of mucus that coats a mind flayer's skin. Some researchers go so far as to claim that it is possible to deduce how recently another mind flayer fed, and indeed the health of its victim from the viscosity of that mucus. Little is known about what a mind flayer's brain contains. Some have argued that their skulls are filled with eggs that will later become the tadpoles with which they enthrall their victims. Others propose that the brain is in fact a cluster of pure cerebral nerves. Since mind flayers procreate by tadpoling humanoids, they technically have no need of genitals, but I have been unable to verify this in the absence of any written record. Notice to Varsh Koku. This message has been inscribed in the common tongue. Koku, a new batch is arriving soon. If you are still holding out hope for the hatching of that final egg, give up. If I can't hatch on its own, it's not worthy of joining our ranks. Destroy it and move on. Kithrak Therazin, Old Architectural Collection. This yellowed book contains a series of architectural plans. One shows an elevator leading from the wilds outside a town called Wraithwind to the Underdark. Old maintenance records. Reminder to the caretaker. When oiling the machine, make sure you don't grease the statues themselves. Stones become loose of late and has a tendency to slip. Novice Perrin was rumored to have triggered a full spin once. That is a hint on how to access the blood of Lathander. Open call for adventurers on behalf of the Society. Also from the lady with the Githyanki egg. Call for adventurers exploring the nature versus nurture debate. The Society of Brilliance is pleased to announce an open call for adventurers to participate in a groundbreaking research project examining the intriguing and enduring question of nature versus nurture. The aim of this project is to investigate the relative contributions of nature and nurture in determining characteristics, traits, and outcomes. Our hypothesis? A Githyanki raised in a peaceful, nurturing environment will rise above its inherent nature to become a productive and progressive member of society. Your contribution? We require 1 Githyanki egg, unhatched and in good condition, taken directly from a Githyanki creche. Generous payment will be provided on successful completion of the task. Please contact Harvkalag at the lodge for further details. A small poem about love and loss is inscribed on this torn paper. No, I cannot pronounce it, Bairn. The paper is torn and patched in many places, as if it was well used but treasured. On it is a small poem without a name. These empty sheets are all that's left of you. The last of all the thoughtless gifts you gave. I will hold on to them. It's all that I can do. I can't throw them away. I've never been that brave. It was actually found back at the tower. I wonder if we just missed that. Pilgrim's Curse. Mornin', Lord. You never rose up over nothing.
You're just a fucking sham, like all God's dirty, stupid animals. All of you rotten pigs. Rotten pigs, wee, you ain't got shit in the absolute. It's beautiful. It's gonna fuck you like the cheapest whores. This one was found in the exact same spot. Good morning, Lathander. I suppose all mornings for you are good, you making them up out of all the bright bits of night and getting them shine-worthy and such. I have 2 new boys, Luke and Elliot, and I should like them to see lots of your nice sun-ups. So if you would watch over them, I should be most thankful. I am poor as muck, but I have some heart left to give, that which has not been eaten up by the boys and their mum. So that bit is yours if you keep them seeing sunrises. Thanks. Harrison Fields. Pilgrim's Prayer. Dear Morning Lord, and you are a dearie. Haven't I just had the grandest time? Sure, if I was honey, I wouldn't have trouble getting down a hill. So warm and good I feel. I've been headed here to pay you homage and beyond on other business for some 2 odd months, and every mile has unearthed more and more kindness. For example, when my sleeping roll was infested with bedbugs, itching me disagreeably, Morning Lord, I have no qualms admitting it, a woman gave me a spare of hers, and it was toasty warming of a night, and she with 2 children of her own to tend. Anyway, thanks for pouring your honey heat over each and every day, cloudy or no. Here for a lone woman barefoot and smiling on the long road. Potion of animal speaking recipe. Ooh, we're back to this guy. Remember this? This is the Dragonborn with the molting scales. This recipe I discovered entirely by mistake. It turned out to be my greatest breakthrough in the search for a cure to growing new scales. After imbibing the errant potion, I heard one of the magpies brag about a beautiful platinum scale it had found. The scale itself is one of the most powerful objects I have ever seen. I suspect it might have come from the god Bahamut himself. If only I could harness its powers, I am sure I too might someday be covered once again, this time even in platinum. Meanwhile, here is the recipe that brought all this on. Extracts needed: essence of acorn truffle, salts of rogue's morsel. Method: carefully sprinkle your salts through your essence, making sure none of the latter escapes. Cork the bottle and gently swirl in a pattern 8. As always, remember, when in doubt with alchemy, just recall the rule of 3. Thrice the same ingredient forms an extract excellent. Prayer to Lathander. Glory to you, bringer of the dawn. My wife and I have been trying to conceive for nearly 2 years now with no luck. We've been long followers of your blessed creed and visit Rosymorn every 10 day to worship at your altar. Please, Lord, I know you've given us a lot already, but if you hear our prayer, grant us this one wish, and you will find us in your service tenfold. This is all that now stands between ourselves and everlasting joy. We have faith in you, Lathander, and are grateful for the many blessings of your light. Record of complaints. A dust-covered tomb of complaints to the Dawnmaster. Who allowed a pilgrim to pay for wine with a cat? And what sort of cat even is it? One of my novices told me they saw it grow to the size of a humongous hound. That was moments before it attacked. The poor novice didn't stop trembling for a 10-day. Please, I beg of you, can we just accept gold for goods like ordinary folk? And for God's sakes, call on someone to get rid of that nasty animal. Love it. A report on Moonrise Towers. You were right. Moonrise Towers is the place. Followed the cultist's trail as you asked, led me all the way up there. Signs of illicit activity for sure. Tadpole sorts wandering around in uniform. Didn't manage to break in, but suffice to say, there's definitely something afoot. Recommend you send this report directly to the Palace of Susurrus. Coming back shortly to collect my pay. Scribbled note. A few sentences regarding a search for mithril ore are all that remain on this musty note. Must find new sources. Nearby mithril veins are near depletion, and the quantities required for Brother Silov's most recent project were considerable. Some of the alkalites have taken to calling it grim for the place it was made, though never within Brother Silov's hearing. Sharon Registry, a scuffed and battered tomb clearly passed through many hands down the years. A registry of proud followers recruited by her loyal paladin, Ketheric Thorm. Pages upon pages of names fill this book. Some are only nicknames, others consist of multiple noble titles. All of them are scratched out and annotated with "no longer." Sharon's journal, a dusty old prayer book, scripture hastily overwritten by scrawled diary entries. Day 1. Never saw a beast like it. Bloated with muscle,
tusks as long as my arms, scent of charred flesh, but I saw no flames. The stone might have been parchment, so quick did the creature charge through it. The other justiciars are dead, or close to it. It wasn't alone. Hell Knights, too. Masks bolted to their faces, like plaques to a keep wall. Day 3, trapped. Another rampage, and down the walls came. Started to dig. Not sure. Day 7, it's done. May Shar's shadows keep me. Found in the body of a dead justiciar in Grimforge. Slaver's Inventory, an inventory of gnome slaves that outlines where each gnome is at present. The book's first page proclaims in bold text, Property Sergeant Thrin, hands off. Name, location, status. Beldron, trapped, status question mark. Larida, dig, healthy. Lunkbug, dig, healthy. Myrna, trapped, question mark. Philomene, question mark, missing. Skickpit, see Magmar, question mark. Thula, question mark, missing. Wellso, dig, healthy. Wiki, trapped, question mark. The final scribble is impossible to make out. It's Wolbrin Bongle. These 3 tablet fragments all go together. Moral commandments and dogmatic prayers are inscribed upon this stone slab. It appears to be the top of a larger piece. So said Shar to me, Ketheric Thorm. It was Lord Eo who created chaos. It was from chaos that it formed, that I formed, and it is I who anoint you my paladin. From this day forth, let my laws be known. The law of secrets. What is a secret? But truth cast into darkness. Lurk in the shadows and listen for hushed words. The softer a thought spoken, the more power it contains. The more discord it sows, the more scars it may carve. If a man brags of affairs, carry his words to his wife. If a daughter steals from her father, whisper the truth. The deceived turn to Shar. Cuckolds find solace in shadow. Do this once a 10-day, and the Lady of Loss shall know you. The law of nightfall. From the moon falls the foulest of lights. It peeks through cracks and fissures, illuminating the most remote recesses of the Underdark. Light bestows hope, a pernicious notion which must be extinguished. At the darkest hour, pray to your lady and feast in her honor. The second day after, slay a disciple of Selûne. If none may be found, a Lethendarian or Mistrin are an acceptable offering. Do this once a 10-day, and the Lady of Loss shall know you. The Law of Obeisance. The word of Ketheric Thorm is the word of Shar. You shall put no god nor mortal before him. You shall question him in neither word nor deed. When the sun has fallen and the moon is new, bow your head in prayer. Proclaim your devotion to Shar and her paladin, Ketheric Thorm. Promise your soul and flesh, and seek no fortune nor favor. When your prayer is finished, speak thus. Mistress Shar, I have glorified your name. Master Thorm, I have cried out your word. I am your servant forevermore. So said Shar to me, Ketheric Thorm. So it is decreed, and so it is done. Wield the power of secret. Where light shines, extinguish it. Heed the word of your mistress and master. Do this, and the Lady of Loss shall know you. The folly of Zerthamon. An account of the schism that divided the Gith-Zerai from the Githyanki. After Mother Gith freed us from our illithid bonds, Mother Gith traversed the plains, discovering civilizations thriving among the stars. She conquered, she colonized, she controlled, and all the while, Zerthamon questioned. He and his disciples struck with words. He claimed that because the Gith had been born anew, we did not know ourselves. That in building an empire, we proved ourselves no better than our former slavers. Gith retaliated with silver. So began the war for the One Sky. Upon his inevitable defeat in the blasted plains, Zerthamon's faithful retreated to Limbo, and there they remain, languishing in the lethargy they craved, free of inner fire, free of purpose. They call themselves the Gith-Zerai, those who spurn Mother Gith. We call them Hisharlakai, the Unforgivable. The Parables of Dawnmaster Vasaid, an epic-looking tomb that opens with an illustrated panel of Dawnmaster Vasid riding into battle against an army of Sharan clerics. in his raised hand his trusted battle axe, its sharp edge glinting in Lathander's light. An unfinished sending. A hastily scrawled note, intended as a magical sending. It remains unfinished. A component of magical sending, hastily scrawled and incomplete. Seal the lower temple. Grimforge taken by unknown force. Many soldiers, one face. Infernal, their leader. The note cuts off abruptly. Ink slashed through with blood. Winery records. Oh, okay. Just a ledger of wine sold by the monastery. 1 bottle sold for 1 pan. 3 bottles sold for gold donation. 2 bottles sold for 1 cat. 10 bottles, large donation. 5 bottles, donation of herbs. I wish I could trade herbs for wine. I don't even drink. Why would I want to trade that. I have been given the crucial task to clear the entrance to Grimforge for future expeditions. True Soul Near will follow once the entrance is cleared. As I make my way to the entrance, I can't help but feel excitement. What might we find here? That Ketheric created so long ago, now sealed by the curse. Grimforge could hold untold treasures for the Absolute's uses. I will continue to explore and document my findings. The entrance is currently blocked by vines and rubble, quite cursed. Explosives ought to do the job, though I'm not as experienced in such matters as I'd wish to be. I set up the explosives with care, though I admit I'm almost afraid to detonate them. There's no telling what power these cursed vines hold, what might lie beyond, or whether I've even set things up correctly. Absolute, protect me. I think we're done. Yep, that'll do it. All right, that was session 12. Holy crap. And Act 1. We are officially done with Act 1 in this honor mode run. That's exciting. The next time that we play, we will be doing whatever comes next. I don't even know. Thanks, man. Yeah, we try to do that every so often. When we started, it was like every stream we would try to end with it, but that just became overwhelming. So now it's just every so often I'll make it a point to collect a bunch of books and read them all. There's less books going forward as far as I can remember. There's still plenty of them, but there's significantly less, so there will be much less reading as we go on now, except for like a couple key areas, but like Moonrise Towers itself is a ton of them. I have never once gotten a chance to do this because she always gets off way too early. So let's go say hi to Miss Neela Tequila. You have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening, Pipin. Thank you so much for hanging out. Dark, as always, you're wonderful. Thank you. I love you all for hanging out with us as always. Don't forget to go subscribe on the YouTube, see all of Dark's crazy clips and our past shows. Check out the Discord, which Dark just beat me to join our wild, crazy community and see when I'll be going on live next.